Hello and welcome to Write On, the podcast from Final Draft. We are here to talk about all things screenwriting. I'm your host, Phil Galasso. Today we have an interview with Our Lady J, writer-producer on the Emmy Award-winning show Pose.
I used to take that mic in my hands.
The category is...
And it made me feel alive. Your life matters.
This job is not for the faint of heart. You're a trans woman of color working in a hospital.
I'm just trying to stay afloat.
Is this about your legacy?
No, it's about our legacy.
5, 6, 7, 8.
We rose from the bottom, and we became stars. When we walk together, we make a statement.
I'm in.
We're just gonna be ourselves, and that's it.
The balls ain't what they used to be. Cash prizes and tacky lip syncs. There used to be the sense of urgency and community, and then folks just started dying.
Deep alone inside.
I knew this disease was gonna eat me alive, but I'm not going out without a fight.
We'll do it together as a family. I'm done running from myself, my destiny. I'm not running no more.
Guest host Sharday Sellers talked with Our Lady J about the importance of authenticity in storytelling, working with Ryan Murphy and Stephen Canals, getting her first Emmy nomination, and more. Check it out.
Okay, I'm here with Lady J. I'm trying not to fan out because I love Pose so much, and I love the work that you and your coworkers put into this. And I just want to thank you first of all for the art,
Thank you.
Also say congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you in this space of like, are you past the disbelief space, and are you just settled in the reality that you are a nominated writer?
This is my first nomination as a writer, so that I'm truly celebrating. I was not expecting this at all, and it's so nice because, those are peer groups that vote for us, so it's other writers who voted for us, and that means the world to me that my peers have acknowledged Pose as being worthy of an Emmy nomination for writing.
It was well deserved. I was heavily on Twitter every episode, watching with my Twitter family, and we all said the same thing. If they don't get nominated this season, we riot. So.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're ready to get the torches out because I'll put in work. Okay. So I want to start with this. Okay. So Pose ending is just really devastating. I'm still not over it. I can't believe I'm not going to see these characters again. Are you afraid this will be one of the last shows that has such a large cast from the community on television? Because this was so groundbreaking and revolutionary. And I'm afraid personally that we won't get to see this again for a while.
Well, first of all, the characters, many of them are still alive, right? These are the folks that inspired Pose. My own trans mother, Alexandra Billings, was a huge inspiration for me, and Blanca's storyline. And so, we still have each other in this community, and we get to celebrate each other. So Pose lives on forever. As far as the television landscape, I hope that this is just the beginning of more diverse storytelling. It is certainly a milestone in that 5 trans women of color were cast as series regulars in leading roles and in supporting roles. So I hope that's just the beginning. I hope that's not just a one-time thing, and I'm gonna keep working to make sure that it's not. I'm not going anywhere. So as long as I'm here in Hollywood, I hope to keep serving it up.
Okay, Effie, I'm telling you, I'm not going anywhere.
Exactly.
No, nowhere. I'm not gonna.
I have a piano right there. I could get on if you want to.
Yes, let's do this. It's such a Pose moment, right? Let's take a second to sing. There's so many great storylines in the series, but do you have one in particular that is your favorite?
I'm really proud of the HIV/AIDS storylines. For me, that was really important. I've been an advocate for people living with HIV/AIDS for 20 years now, myself having been diagnosed almost that long ago. And it was important to acknowledge not only the people that we lost, but the people that survived and the people that continue to survive in this. The younger generation, I found, I'm 43, so I found that 25-year-olds did not know about our history, which really surprised me and inspired me to put that into Pose. And the fact that that made it to screen and educated a whole new audience about what formed our community and why our community is as strong as it is. Our community is strong because of what we went through with HIV/AIDS, and it's important to acknowledge that. So I will forever be proud of that on Pose.
And to segue to that, I kind of ruined it for Emma. I'm sorry, Emma, who's our coordinator here, because she hasn't caught up on Pose, but it's been months. Pray Tell's ending was so beautiful and such a Pray Tell way to do it and to sacrifice themselves. Did you always know that was where that character was going to go? Because you had me fooled. I was like, oh, great. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. He's going to live a happy life, and took that away.
We knew that either Pray Tell or Blanca was going to pass away. And so we were
not Mother Blanca. Oh my gosh, I would have died. Okay, good.
We wanted to be honest to what happened. We didn't want to sugarcoat it and do. We wanted to do justice to reality and history. For me, I wanted Blanca to survive because there are trans women, the trans women who nurtured me when I was going through my transition in my early years. Were from the ballroom scene and from that family. And it was important for me to acknowledge their survival as well. Although some of them did pass, friends, loved ones, there were people who survived as well. So I was not going to let Blanca die. And with Pray Tell, with his death specifically, him giving his life for Ricky, that was something that came to the table during season 3. So that was a new development that we did not always see coming.
It's such a great thing that Pray Tell did, but it's also very frustrating because it's such a Pray Tell decision to not include anyone and to just make this grand sacrifice. And Ricky's reaction, testament to the acting, was just so hurt. It was so hurt. It hit me right here. And I was mad with him, but also happy for Ricky. And it was mixed emotions. So thank you for not taking over Blanca, though, because she's iconic. She is my favorite. And MJ is also nominated.
Yes, hallelujah.
Saying for 3 seasons.
3 seasons I've been rooting and crossing my fingers and praying that she would get nominated. And that was my first thought when I woke up Emmy nomination morning was, did MJ get the nomination? And she did. And is so beyond deserved, and I'm so proud of her and happy for her.
And she's so brilliant as Mother Blanca, and Mother Blanca has these monologues, and we kind of make fun of them on Twitter because she's always very inspirational, she's always very positive, but they're really good. And I wanted to know, as one of the writers on the show, is there an ecosystem to how you create a Mother Blanca monologue? Like, does it have to, what does it have to be, and where does it have to come in the episode?
Well, we teased Blanca for earnestness as well, in the script. I think the last monologue, one of the last monologues she gives one of the characters, she says, not another one. But that's who Blanca is. That's who she was. And one of the ingredients to that was Blanca's always aware of who she's speaking to. She's always present, and she's not ever speaking down to someone. She's speaking through her own experience and connecting to her small audience, which is her family, which therefore is Blanca connecting to the larger audience, which is the Pose family and everyone who supported and loved the show. So always being aware of who's listening was part of writing Blanca.
That's amazing. And speaking of Blanca, that ending walk of her down New York Street after leaving the ballroom to Whitney Houston's "Your Love Is My Love." I just want to know, do you all enjoy hurting your audience? Like, do you just find these torturous moments? Because that made me cry. I held it together even through Pray Tell, even through the funerals. But that moment, hearing Whitney's voice over "Your Love Is My Love," and I'm tearing up now thinking about it. It got me so hard.
Well, if your definition of hurting is feeling, yes, I always want my audience to feel. Always, always, always. And sometimes those feelings are joyful and sometimes those are painful.
And it was just beautiful. And I want to ask about the music of the show as well, because that song was perfect. Literally, I couldn't have scripted that better myself. Perfect song to end it with. What is it like in the room when if you're discussing this music? And then also, is there a song that you wanted to be in the show, but that you just couldn't get cleared?
We often, in season 1, we had a little bit more time than in the room in season 3. You know, season 3, most of it was written from a distance during COVID. So we didn't have the same luxuries that we've had in season 1. But season 1, we would just YouTube a song and dance around the writer's room a little bit to that song, or sometimes we would watch incredible drag performances. And so we had a lot of fun with music. Once in a while, there would be a specific song that a writer would sneak in there and say, I have to have this song. Like Stephen Knaus really wanted Deborah Cox's "Nobody's Supposed to Be Here."
Yes.
I was personally very happy about because in 1996, I was playing that in my Discman nonstop, imagining the drag shows that I was going to give. So there were moments like that where writers put their individual touches, but the music department, Amanda Creek Thomas was our music supervisor, and she was so incredible, as was Alexis Martin Woodall, who coordinated a lot of the music, and Ryan Murphy as well. It was a group effort, but what I was surprised with was how often these artists gave us the rights to the music. They allowed us to use their music. And so that was really exciting to know that we had those musicians with us on board.
It was really great to go over the decades from the 80s to the 90s, and then to listen to the music change too. And what's really struck me was the inclusion of more hip hop in the 90s in the shows. And I was like, this is such a great way to blend into the culture world, that hip hop isn't part of this community as well in these shows. And it was done so subtly, but just poignant for me. I do want to know, in terms of if you were in Pose as a character, which house would you be in?
I'd be in the house that goes to bed at 9 p.m. I went to many a ball in my youth. I have gone to balls recently, and I am so tired that I usually can't stay because they go to 4 or 5 in the morning. So I don't know personally, me as a 43-year-old writer, if I would be qualified to be in any house. The house that goes to bed.
Yeah. I love that. So in season 3, we time jump a little bit to the 90s. And I wanted to know, what was the discussion like when you're first starting in the writer's room, when you got to break down the season, and especially in terms of the OJ story? Like, when did this become a conversation of, like, we have to have this tentpole piece? I thought it was brilliant to see all the different reactions, especially Electra's reaction to the OJ situation.
That was Ryan's idea. That was kind of a through line for Ryan. But also, it was an important cultural moment to talk about race in the OJ trial, because that's what happened in America at the time. I brought in a lot of different opinions about the verdict and about the spectacle as well of the chase. And so we tried to get all those different opinions involved in our characters as a way of bringing our audience in and relating to where we were now at in 1994.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I think about it too. Speaking of Electra's reaction, because she's my absolute favorite, she has the best reads, and I've watched her TikTok, and It sounds almost like identical to the scripts. I want to know, what is the ethos of Electra Reed? And then does Dominique help with that? Because she looks like she could write it herself, honestly.
Dominique delivers on the read, and knowing that there's an actor who's going to deliver what you're writing is key to being able to write anything. So when, for example, I wrote that read in season 2 where they're on Long Island, and she's, going off on the woman with her scrunchie and her boyfriend named Jake and her pony and the abortion her father paid for. That was me just getting out a lot of anger and working out a lot of things I wanted to say. So I actually, our turnaround for that read was really fast. We were supposed to get it in a few hours, or I was supposed to get that read in a few hours. And I said to our writer's room assistant, Todd, I said, I'm going to take the weekend on this and get this read to you because I'm writing for the meme generation. I know that this could possibly become a meme, and I wanted it to be iconic. So I took the weekend and really perfected that read, and I'm most proud of that read. And the fact that drag queens are now lip syncing that read in their shows. I had lunch with Monet Exchange recently, and she said that is one of the most requested performances, and she sees that performance all over the world. So that made me really happy. I'm really proud of that.
And you're right, it did become a meme. I'm not sure if you've seen the Freddie versus Jason meme of Electra. It's so good. It's Freddie in front of Electra, and she's holding her wine, and she's giving him the fingers.
Okay, sorry, I'm Googling right now to remind myself to look that up.
Look it up. It's literally I saved it on my phone. It's the best. I love meme culture. Yeah. But on a heavier note, we did get to see some Electra backstory, which I loved, in the trunk and the significance of the trunk and her standing up to her mother. And I wanted to know, what was the conversations like with Dominique when those storylines were scripted? Did she have hesitations, or did she contribute to the storyline? Because they're really heavy.
I wasn't on set for that. COVID had already happened. We were coming out of quarantine. We had started writing that storyline before quarantine, and then we picked it up after quarantine. So I actually wasn't around for those conversations. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, in the writer's room, was there a discussion like we should probably get some Electra backstory in here before we wrap
Oh,
up?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was intentional. We wanted all of our characters to be well-rounded and to have more dimension. And so this season in particular, we told some of Electra's backstory, and we also highlighted Lulu's story as well.
Of Lulu, our sweet, sweet Lulu, who I love very dearly as well. I want to talk really briefly about the network and itself and in writing in the show. Were you able to freely write any storylines you wanted to broach? And then also, how does a network give notes to a show like this? Because you all have lived experience. So what notes does a network give about your lived experience that they could actually offer?
It really depends on the show and the showrunner. For Pose, Ryan ran the show, and so we reported to Ryan and not the network. So I've had very pleasant experiences with networks for the most part on my other shows as well. I will say though, having been in writers' rooms now for 7-8 years, the notes have become more sensitive and they've changed since then. Early on in my career, I would hear notes saying like, I don't know how this person would date a trans woman, he's straight. And I would just, oh my God. Patience, darling, patience. Don't burn it down.
Electra Reed loaded.
Compassion, humanity. And then I would pick up the phone and have the conversation. And I do believe that is how I've been able to find success is, I try to be patient. There's just been so much change over the last few years. So I haven't had those nightmare calls that some people might be imagining or had. I've been lucky in my experience, but at the same time, I have seen the growth and the change.
Speaking of growth and change, my last question for you is, what advice would you give your younger writer self? It could be from 7 years ago, like you were just talking about, or it could be from last year.
I would tell myself to see a therapist a lot sooner. I've been in therapy for 20 years, and it feels like I should have started 20 years before that. The more we know ourselves, the better artists we are, the better storytellers we are, and the more honest we're able to be in our storytelling and in our relation to others. For character writing, you absolutely cannot think you're better than the character. For story writing, you can't be afraid to go places that might be scary. So you really have to know who you are and able to get to that place as a storyteller. And removing the ego is a huge part of it as well. So I would say meditate and see a therapist.
I love it, because a lot of people get on here and they give actual honed in writing advice, but I think it's so important that you remember, like you said, mentally, if you're not doing well, none of this works as well. So you're the first person to say you should probably see a therapist, darling, and
take care of your mental health. Absolutely, we need that as artists. It's not easy going to these places. Writing a lot of these storylines for Pose was challenging for my mental health because they were so triggering of experiences that were really hurtful to me and experiences that changed me as a person. But being able to not be triggered while I'm writing them and to work through that was key to the success of getting those stories onto the page and onto the screen, knowing that those stories might touch others' lives and maybe help someone else out through something I've been through, ultimately made all the work worth it.
And you also did a lot of, all of the writers and the producers in the show, you all did a lot of teaching, emotional teaching for other people who had never had experiences probably like this. So I want to thank you for that. I also want to say Angel and Poppy gave me hope that love is real. And I'm happy for them. So.
I did not have anything to do with the romantic storylines on Pose. We co-wrote every episode together. So I took on the HIV/AIDS storylines, and I took on a lot of Elektra's. I took all the dominatrix stuff because, that's just me. So the romance stuff, though, when that would come up, I'd be like, can someone else?
Someone else. I'm happy that we finally tackled the man in the trunk, because I was worried for a second. I was like, how long is she going to have this man in her closet? Like with these air fresheners. So I'm happy that we wrapped that up.
I actually got kicked off of the internet on the Fox lot for that storyline when I was researching how does someone die from SNM asphyxiation. Just in my little office on the Fox lot, and I get a warning. You've been blocked from the internet. So I went to our assistant and I said, what do I do? He said, just use your phone. This happens all the time. We share the same office spaces with American Horror Story. So they were always being blocked.
That's awesome. The search history, what is going on in the Fox lot?
Big Brother's watching.
Yeah. Well, Lady J, thank you so much. Congratulations on your nomination. I am such a huge fan of Pose. I can't wait to see the other work that you put out, because me and my best friend EJ would watch that show every Sunday religiously together. It was our bonding time.
That makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, we're sad to see it go, but I will say, as ending for series go, y'all nailed it. You nailed it. It gave us everything that we wanted and left us feeling good about these characters, knowing that they're going to go on and live their lives.
I really appreciate it.
They have stuck the landing better, honestly.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all your support.
Thank you. And everyone, you can watch Pose. It's on Hulu. All 3 seasons. Go watch it right now. Or it's on FX, but I don't have cable, so I watch it through Hulu.
Hulu, Amazon, iTunes.
Just
it's
go
everywhere.
watch it. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks again to Our Lady J for coming on the show, and to Sharday Sellers for killing it as host. And as always, thanks to you, our listeners. If you liked this episode, leave us a review, and if you haven't already, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. For news about future episodes and more, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Draft Inc. and Instagram at Final Draft Screenwriting. This episode was produced by Kayla Guess with help from associate producer Emma Vranich. Music by T. Kelly. Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, write on.